Dandadan released a brand new trailer and it is looking mighty fine, absolutely gorgeous. A lot of people had their concerns. Momo shouldn't sound like this character shouldn't look like that, but the more trailers that have released, the more we get to see what the animation studio Science Saru is actually cooking with. I think a lot more people are now confident, have a lot more faith in this anime adaptation. If you do not know what Dandadan's manga is, it's very crazy, chaotic, aliens, curses, folklore, spirits, you name it, right? It's a mixed bag of all of these different goodies, and these things come to life because they're searching for something, and our main characters are kind of just thrown into this world as high school students. They don't technically believe in the occult or the mystery or the aliens, whatever, but more and more they're getting dragged into this world. It's very fun, it's very over the top, and at the center is a nice, simple, gooey romance, which you wouldn't necessarily think a story like this actually has, but the more the story unfolds, the more these characters get closer and closer together, the more sparks start to fly. Some of these emotions start to flutter. It's an innocent love, a slow burn, one that continues to build the more and more they get into these dangerous situations and all of their feelings start to truly get tested. One of the best things that Dandadan has to offer as a weekly manga is its crazy artwork. There's good, there's great, there's perfect artwork, and then there's Dandadan. Somehow, some way, even with however many assistants Tatsu has, they are able to produce some absolutely astounding, beautifully conceptualized, massive pieces of artwork multiple times every single week. To say that this artist and help have the utmost understanding on the world, their characters, and how they envision everything together in such a compelling way from so many unique angles and perspectives, every single piece of artwork you get every single week is brilliant. Honestly, it's breathtaking, and it's not often that you have a story drop these massive pieces of artwork every week. Now, there is a massive fan base for Dandadan. I've been reading it since chapter 1, and I'm absolutely in love with it. I enjoy it. It's a really fun read. One of the biggest questions was, when is it getting its anime? Because this is going to skyrocket it, elevate it into a completely different realm of success and popularity, because it is one of those stories. It may be difficult to get into on the manga side, but an anime is kind of perfect for it. It's loose, all over the place, so many massive fights very frequently, and it would take a incredible animation studio to really bring it to life with all of its colors and all of its playfulness. Science Saru is that animation team, and over the past handful of trailers that we have got, we've seen it evolve little by little. At first, people weren't really comfortable with it, and this artwork looks a little bit weird, this voice acting's a little bit of an odd choice, but I do think it has grown on people. I think the style, its representation, the color palette, how all over the place it wants to be, but having this sense of refinement as well. It's purposeful. It's not just thrown together slapstick to make it look like it's trying to be an artificial chaoticness. There is definitely a finesse, and you can tell that Science Saru is cooking in every single regard. This newest trailer gave us a really good look at stuff we haven't seen before. Some of the main characters' abilities and their situations, but also a bit of their voice acting. I like it. The voices have grown on me from the small amount we've seen. The animation looks crisp and smooth, and while these are only trailers, artistically you get a really good idea on what to actually expect. And I expect a very high result now. Science Saru is a very reputable studio, and I wouldn't be surprised after Dandadan they start to get a lot more recognition. They already are now, but with a mainstream manga getting a mainstream anime that a lot of people are looking forward to, and day by day that reception is getting bigger and bigger, it might actually put them on the map in a really massive way. It seems to me they're kind of picky and choosy with what they want to actually do. They recently came off doing Scott Pilgrim's anime, which was absolutely superb. It's a nice change of pace, a nice style that they're jumping into, one that isn't all too familiar but isn't all too different at the same time. It's a healthy balance, I think. A big concern that I have for Dandadan as an anime, and I think Science Saru will be able to pull it off, is its level of animation. How much are they willing to actually put into this? Because this series has a ton of fights. There's a lot of dialogue, there's a lot of downtime, and a lot of playfulness between these characters just interacting. But when it comes to these high octane, big, massive fights, they need to hit it home. They need to smash it out the park. Considering this anime has a release date of October of this year, which is relatively far away, I'm hoping this will allow them enough time to cook even further and to really bring the vision of Dandadan's manga to life. We're on the verge of seeing something incredibly big. I think it's going to have a huge reception. It might even shake the world a little bit. Now that may sound silly, too playful, absurd even, but worthwhile. In the manga, these characters have a charm to them, a sense of believability, even in the most craziest of situations. They feel interesting and new, but ultimately refreshing. There's nothing necessarily bland about them, which nowadays there tends to be a bit of overlap, and that's perfectly okay. And a lot of people may even think that for Dandadan's characters, but for myself, I find it to be refreshing because they're able to be simple but have so much personality. They're not trying to be something that they shouldn't, and their personality grows more and more every single week, and it's charming. It fuels directly into each other. That growth feels into that charm, and that charm feels back into its growth, and then you just end up loving it. It's hard to realistically put down. A thing that I'm excited to see animated is its sad moments, depressing, tragedy driven, etc. Dandadan has a really interesting way of propelling sad moments. There's a good handful within the story currently, but they're not all too long. They're there, they're frequent, and they're very much heavy hitting. They don't hold back nor hold your hand. They tend to dive very head first into some incredibly intense, suffocating, emotional bits and pieces. And it's a little bit unfortunate that there's no real build up to these moments, but because they're very instant and almost come out of nowhere, the impact and influence that they have is immense. You can think back on them very fondly because of how impactful they become. It's brilliant writing. It's not revolutionary, but it's enough to help balance the story. Every time I see a sad or depressing moment within Dandadan's manga, I know I'm in for a treat. Because while we only get it for a short amount of time, the level of emotion that it invokes is incredible. It's incredibly heartbreaking and thought-provoking. So seeing that elevated through anime makes me excited, because music choice and sound design and animation is going to play such a vital role to turn that emotional scene into something that will tear your heart in two. I know you can think of an anime scene that's just so heartfelt that maybe you shed a tear over, or it was so well done and produced that you just couldn't help but be awestruck. Dandadan has these moments, and I hope and pray that Science Saru is able to capture them in all of its glory and elevate it to a brand new height. Now, when it comes to the length of this anime being 12 episodes, I'm curious to see what they cover, because there is a lot of checkpoints that they can stop at, but what concerns me is the intensity of how much they actually cover. See, the first quarter of the story is pretty straightforward. You're building your characters, you're building your world, you're setting that stuff into motion. It's very lore heavy, it's very development heavy. When you start to get more and more into the action, which is incredibly frequent, that's when the difficulties start to come in. So I believe the end half of the season is going to be very action orientated and heavy, but they may also take some creative liberties to fill it out a bit more. At some points, Dandadan felt kind of like Creature of the Week or Creature of the Month. It was very straight to the point. Go here, get into a situation, fight the monster or the creature, end of arc. Move on to the next one. If Science Saru has that said creative liberty, maybe they can space that out a little bit more. Maybe events that go by rather rapidly can be filled out in a way that feels more natural to progress through, which makes me excited. I'm kind of easy with either or. Either they want to fly through a lot of different moments with a lot of different action to keep that fresh and in your mind every single week, or they cut off a good portion of the action and instead stick to more stuff that's focused and filled out. Both options are interesting, both are good, and I'm excited to see what they choose. I don't think the animation quality is going to suffer by any means with the amount of time and talent that's currently on board, but you never know within this industry. It's very volatile, it's very chaotic, it's very disgusting in a lot of ways. So I hope that they're able to have a healthy amount of time to cook what they want to cook and cover what they want to cover. At the end of it all, I'm excited for Dandadan's anime. I feel like I've been waiting for it for such a long time. Following the journey of the manga has been a wonderful experience, something that I enjoy reading every single week, and I have the utmost respect, love, and appreciation for the story. It may not be the most successful thing, but I do think an anime is going to push that popularity tenfold. It feels crazy enough to be popular. It feels chaotic enough to reach global success, but it also has an innate charm where people can appreciate and love what the story is actually doing. Past the animation, past the visuals, past the sound design, underneath is a compelling narrative with compelling characters that you can absolutely fall in love with. I hope to see it do well. I want it to do well. And I think Science Saru is going to bring it to life in all the right ways. Shock the world, take it over, do whatever you want. It's in their hands now. welcome to the end of the video. If you've made it this far, thank you. I appreciate it. Leave a like and subscribe. That'd be nice. Also, check out some of these videos here. The more you watch, the more YouTube recommends me. I love that. YouTube loves that. And you'll probably enjoy the video. Let me know how you feel about Dandadan's anime. And with that, I will see you all later.